How's it, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Today, we are touching on Black Friday because that is next week. There are a lot of e-commerce entrepreneurs who want to know what to do in the last week. We're going to check in on Jandre's e-commerce business, SuprNaturl. It is now 2 weeks old. Happy 2 weeks. But the main thing today is building an automatic client acquisition engine / strategy, and it is going to be all power. Jandre, how are you doing, man?
Dude, I'm so lekker. Thanks for having me. And looking forward to diving into this conversation with you.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Guys, we've got comments available. So if you have any questions throughout as we go through each section, please drop a comment. We'll stop every 10 or 15 minutes to answer them. Your engagement is going to make it more valuable for everyone. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Now, in e-commerce, these 3 months make up for a lot of businesses 70% of the revenue, especially in the liquor trade. Apparently 80% of all trade happens in what they call OND, which is October, November, December. And Black Friday is potentially the biggest day of the year for a lot of businesses. So we're going to kick off with a mini dive into Black Friday for those last minute questions anyone might have with the campaigns they pushed live today. Then we're going to go to town on the engine, automatic sales engine. And that's going to be broken down into a combination of getting attention with paid ads. Jandre is going to break down some ad theory with us. Then we're going to look at what we should be doing once people have clicked through on the ads. What type of landing page we're looking at. Is it a product page? Is it long form, short form? And I'm hoping Jandre is going to drop some gold. And then we'll be talking about nurturing, because the second sale is where you make your profit a lot of the time. So, and then, Jandre, you're going to show us, give us an update on SuprNaturl, the weekly serial.
Yeah, Shane, I think I'm happy to start with that. What do you have in mind? I think the last time we chatted, we were up and running for about 7 days. We just started Facebook ads. I think Facebook ads was about a week old running. And we had about 5 grand worth of sales, if I'm not mistaken. Our ROAS was 1.2. And I told you that I'm not too worried about it. And for us, it's more about getting clients and customers trying the actual product more than anything else. And I think some people get overly romantic about ROAS, especially early on. So with that said, I'm going to actually log into our ads manager and see where we are. But we're sitting at about 11.5 grand worth of sales now.
Wow.
Which is, it's not a ton of money. But we can see that it's growing, obviously on a weekly basis, and those marketing ads are at least generating some revenue back for us. So that budget is doing its job. I said to the team, listen, just spend money as quickly as possible, because I want to learn as quickly as possible. So for us, it's about generating data, understanding how people are using the website, understanding where they're clicking, where they're falling off, where they're not clicking. And so that's where our focus is. Our focus is to spend about $500, $600, $700 a day. We're going to do that for the next 30 days to generate some data. We are fortunate that the ads are actually generating some sales. So we're sitting at about 11.5K 2 weeks in. So with Black Friday, maybe a good target will be 30K for our first month. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think if we can reach 30K, then I would call it a successful launch. And we've only got 4 SKUs. So only 4 products really. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Black Friday, payday, and what's to come. Hopefully we can smash it and do a little bit better. But yeah, 30K would be the target. So that's where we are now. We spent about
Awesome.
10K on ads, and we've generated about, I think we generated about 8 grand on ads now. So 11.5K. So we're still sitting at 1.2, 1.4x ROAS at the moment. So we'll see how it goes. The last 2 days, ROAS has picked up quite nicely. We're testing some new content and new creatives, because that's what Meta is all about now. For those listening, if you are trying to get clients or customers, Meta is all about creative and content. Targeting is still a big thing, but not as big as it used to be. Like, you can still go and target who you want. However, it's not nearly as powerful as it used to be, and the most powerful, leveraging strategy right now is just giving the algorithm content and as much of it as possible, creatives, different perspectives, unique angles, and that's kind of like what we're trying to do now, is we're trying to just create as much content as possible and testing that through meta ads.
That's lekker. And this would be a nice segue into Black Friday theory. So you are launching a new brand, and I noticed that on the website you're running a 25% off Black Friday deal. So I'm curious from a lot of perspectives, like what kind of ads are you running? What's the theory behind that? And what should people be doing now? Given the fact, like, some people already have their stuff set up for Black Friday, some people might not have set up yet. Like if today is day 0 and Black Friday is next Friday, like what are some of the key points to consider?
Yeah, I think back in the day, a lot of people could increase their prices 2 or 3 weeks before and then pretend like they have this massive deal come Black Friday. A lot of people probably still do that. But consumers are getting smarter and smarter. They're keeping eyes on prices weeks and sometimes even months before on products. So I would definitely not go that route. I would suggest that you are transparent with whomever you're communicating to, your customers. Be transparent with them, trying to be as authentic as possible. But on a more practical level, Facebook ads, and if you have a Google ads budget, that needs to be ramped up during this time. If you are not running ads, then this should be the time that you actually do it, because you will see a form of success. Because Black Friday, if you think about it, everybody is psychologically geared to spend money. So it's almost like people want to get rid of their money. You just have to give them a good deal, a good enough deal, so that will happen. So from my perspective, it's understanding that this is probably the time in people's lives where they have their wallets ready to spend. It's just who's going to give them the best deal. So therefore, segue into making sure that you create a good offer. You need to put a good offer in the market, and it has to be real value. It can't be fake Hong Kong value, meaning that you're trying to push products that don't sell. A lot of people are using this as an opportunity to push their slow movers, and that can work, but you shouldn't expect miracles. Because what we've realized in the market is that you can't force people to buy a product they don't want to buy. Like, you can persuade them with marketing and strategies and psychological hacks, but trust you me, if the product is not something they want, then you're just going to bleed money trying to get them to buy it. So Black Friday is a good chance to try and get rid of some excess stock by discounting, to the 30s and 40s and 50% off, and trying to get some cash back for maybe over purchasing on certain stocks levels, or buying or bringing in products that you probably shouldn't have brought in. So that is a possibility, but you just have to put good deals forward. And I think people also need to understand that this is not an opportunity to make a ton of profit. It's an opportunity to get people to actually try your brand for most likely the first time. And I think we use Black Friday as almost like a top of funnel strategy, meaning that we are trying to bring in new customers that's never really tried the brand before. And the idea would then be to give them a good service and make sure that the product and the quality is up to standard. And hopefully then they come back. I think the one business we own has got a 34% customer repeat rate, which is quite huge for online. And the other one has got like a 28%. So both of them, if we find customers, there's a good chance they're going to stick around for a while. So Black Friday becomes this opportunity to really just get new customers. And then you can still do it profitably, obviously. But yeah, I think from my side, meta ads will be a great place to start. And if you can pick up your phone and just record a classic video, that's all it takes today. You don't have to spend millions on production, high quality production. I think people paralyze themselves by thinking, it has to be perfect. Trust you me, just pick up your phone, record an ad, take the product. Literally, this is the product we have, guys. And it is 50% off today. If you want it, it's not going to be 50% off tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to be back to normal price. And stop recording and run it as an ad and see what happens. I think that's literally as simple as that. As the bare basics, obviously.
I mean, I'm curious about your take on luxury brands as well in this space, because so I work for a luxury, one of my clients is a luxury liquor brand, and we've been running campaigns the whole season to you know, get liquid to lips, etc. And they have a product that is over $2,500, and they're not discounting it, and it's actually selling really, really well. And then we also ran a concurrent like value offer on a new product that they launched, and in volume and in revenue, it's not doing as well as like the literally the other SKU is double the price, more than double the price, and it's selling more volume and more obviously that equals more revenue. And so we actually turned the other campaign off because like my view is that if you're selling a luxury product at a discount, it either has to be making like a ton of money so that it's worth the damage to the brand, or it needs to be like making a ton of volume so that you're getting it out to everyone. But if you're not winning with the brand, you're not selling volume, and you're not making a profit, then that's not a good idea in any way, shape, or form. But what is your advice to a luxury brand over this period?
I would say, look, Apple is considered a luxury brand in some way, shape, or form, right? I mean, they considered premium, probably a better word. So they considered premium. They still do discounts. However, if I was a luxury brand, I probably wouldn't go balls to the wall on discounts, but I would go balls to the wall on added value, meaning buy this and get this free. So I'm not going to discount my price to lower the perceived value of my product, but if you buy this handbag, we'll give you this free strap that normally costs another $3,000. It's a situation where value can be played around with. Like, you can get creative with how you position value in the market from a Black Friday perspective. So it's just using your own imagination and your creativity to come up with other forms of value as outside of just discounting your price. So hope that makes sense. If I was a luxury brand, very fixated on making sure that I don't diminish the brand that we've built from a premium quality perspective. The last thing you want to do is do a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% off. Maybe you want to do 10, but 40, 50 is probably going to damage the brand. So you won't see Apple do massive discounts. You would never see Rolex do discounts. You would never see Dolce & Gabbana. And if they do, it will be very small discounts. But I do think what they're great at is creating added value. Buy this and then get this free. And this free thing is usually an extra $3,000 or $4,000. So now it makes you feel like you're actually getting a great deal.
Awesome. Cool. So if you've got any questions about Black Friday, drop them in the comments. But we're going to move into the hero topic for the day, which is the automatic client acquisition strategy. And I thought, Jandre, maybe before you kick off, you could just give us like a highlights package on how you've arrived at this particular content bundle. Obviously, you've been running agency. What's led you to this point?
Cool. Yeah, I think for anybody watching, listening, just a quick side note, please drop a comment. If you have got a question, we'll try and answer it for you. See 1 or 2 questions coming in. So please remember, if you've got a question, just drop it in the comments. And then to answer your question, I think it's not an innovative, brand new concept. I'm not going to pretend like I've come up with this all by myself. But what is important is just breaking things down on a fundamental level. And that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about breaking things down in a way that a simpleton like myself can actually understand it and practically use it. And I think when you speak to marketing gurus, when you speak to CMOs and all these sophisticated individuals who've studied all kinds of stuff, then it's a situation where you realize, geez, okay, things can get very overcomplicated very quickly. And there's TikTok ads has got a new algorithm, and there's a new feature that allows you to generate leads, and there's AI that you can leverage to help you generate customers and leads. And then there is Instagram has updated a new feature, and you should be going live on a weekly basis if you want to build trust and credibility like we're doing now. And so there's a billion things that you can be doing in order to put yourself out there. And I like to keep things simple. So I like to look at what are the basics, what are the fundamentals that you have to do. And if it starts with the fundamentals, then the first thing you have to do is you have to get attention. Like, you can't sell anything if you don't have anybody's attention. So if I was trying to sell you on a $5,000 service right now, then you are 100% going to say no if you have no idea what I'm saying. Or you,
Who's this guy?
the probability of you saying no, if you don't understand what I'm saying, and if you don't understand who I am and what I'm trying to sell you, you're going to say no. That's 100% probability that that's going to happen. So it's very important to first grab someone's attention before you try and explain to them what the benefits of the product is. So a lot of people lead with, let me tell you why this is such a great product or such a great service. But the question is, do you really have their attention, and are you holding their attention? And I think that's the first thing, right? It's like the best analogy I can use here is like almost like an email subject line. So if you want to send someone an email and you want them to read it, then it's very important to understand that they won't read that email unless they actually open it, right? So the question now becomes, how do I get them to open it? Well, you first need to make sure that the email actually lands in their inbox and not in spam. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need a subject line that is going to create a level of curiosity, that if they see that subject line, they're going to want a burning desire to want to click it and read what's in that email. If you can't get those two things right, it's really as simple as that. If you can't get in their inbox, and if you can't get them to get curious about what the subject line is alluding to, then they're not going to open it. So if it doesn't land in the inbox, they're not going to see it. And if it is in the inbox and the subject line is crap, they're not going to open it, which means they're not going to see the beautiful message that you've crafted for that person on the other side. And I think trying to make a sale for your online business or for your service business is exactly the same way. You can't make a sale unless you have someone's attention. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is, what do you then do with that attention? So you have to convert that attention into intention. Okay, so that's the second step, is you now need to take that person's attention that you've generated, and you have to now convince them or persuade them to feel a level of intent to want to buy the product. And we can talk about how to do that. And then the last step is, like, once the intention is there, you have to convert and actually get the money, collect the money, and offer the service. And I think that's really the simple framework, right? If we have to ask ourselves now, how do I spend 8 hours a day figuring those three things out? Because someone is going to come along and say, use AI. Okay, cool. But where does AI fit into these three pillars? Because if it doesn't fit into these three pillars, then I'm probably going to waste my time, because nothing is more important than getting attention, turning that attention into intention, and then converting that intention into an actual sale. So if AI is not going to deliver any value within those three pillars, then you're most likely going to be wasting your time. If you're going to dance to an algorithm and on TikTok or whatever it may be, and that's not benefiting the three things, attention, intention, and conversion, then you're wasting your time. So I think if you understand that mental model, those are the most important three things. And if those three things are not done correctly, and the thing is, all three things need to be done equally well, because you can't have a really good conversion strategy, but not grab attention. So it has to be done chronologically as well. That's what people don't understand. So you have to first grab someone's attention, then you have to convert that attention into intention, and then you have to collect the sale, the money, convert the customer, the client. Okay. So if I had to, with my logical brain, be as objective as possible, I'd like to think I'm logical. Not
Very
always.
logical, yeah.
I like to think that I'm a logical thinker. So with my logical brain, if we had to now ask ourselves, what can we do to achieve the first part, which is attention? Okay. Then you have a couple of options that is feasible for different businesses. The first one is you can post organically on social media. All right. You can do a couple of posts a week and hope that people see it, and hope that it's good enough for someone to want to see more of the brand or the business or the product. The second thing you can do is run ads. Okay. So the first thing is you can create content and post it on social media, which is technically free. The second thing is you can actually run ads and try and tell the algorithm who to go and show these ads to. And the last thing you can do is you can do traditional forms like picking up the phone, cold calling, cold emailing, try and do word of mouth kind of strategies. I think those are my opinions are just the three mechanisms at play. You can organically try and jump onto platforms like the social media side, because the first question you have to ask yourself is, where is everybody hanging out? And there's a good chance your customers are and clients are hanging out on social media. I mean, that's not even something we have to debate today anymore. So therefore, I've kind of skipped a step of where to put your time and effort. We all know it is on social media or the internet in some way, shape, or form. So if we look at the internet has got two mechanisms: the organic mechanism and the paid mechanism. And then lastly, if you don't want to, get overly fixated on the internet and social media, then you pick up the phone and you email people and you try and go set up one-on-one meetings and try and, do your thing that way. And that's fine too. But I think again, from a logical perspective, which one is going to deliver us the most amount of consistent attention? So if we had, because that's what you want if you're building a system that runs automatically, is you want something that gets the same result day in, day out consistently. So now we need to ask ourselves, out of these three strategies, which is posting organically on social media and talking about your product or service and other stuff, running ads or sending emails and doing phone calls, cold calling, whatever. The question now becomes, which one is going to deliver the highest level of consistency? Okay. So from a consistent standpoint, organic might not be it, because if you've ever posted on social media, there's a post that's going to get 100,000 views and there's a post that's going to get 2,000 views, and you're not going to know why one got 100,000 and one got 2,000. So the 99.9% of people don't know why they go viral and why they get a lot of people watching the video. So this is not alive to explain the difference between those two, or what you should do or shouldn't do. But the reality is, there's a good chance one post will do well and the next one won't do well, which means ultimately that if you want a consistent system, that organic social media might not be the best approach. The second one is we can cold call and cold email, and we can tell people about our products or services and stuff like that. But now the question becomes, how scalable is that? Because you can only do so many cold calls. You can only call so many people a day. You can only email so many people a day. And yes, you can use AI and technology in order to scale that for you. However, the question becomes, is it really effective? And can you really scale it the way that you can scale something like paid ads? Now, when it comes to paid ads, and this is why I love paid ads, is because, one, if the ad is working, there's a good chance it will work. If it's working today, there's a good chance it will work tomorrow. It might not work in a week or a month's time. That's possible. But if there's a good probability that if it works today and if it works tomorrow, that it will still work the next day and hopefully the next week, which means the amount of effort that you need to put in becomes a little bit less in terms of creating the piece of content. But the leverage lies in how much money then you're spending when it comes to the actual platform like Meta Ads or Google, because you can put more money into that ad and that will automatically reach more people. And if the first 1,000 people enjoyed it and you made hypothetically a sale from that and you spend more money on that ad, there's a good probability that the second 1,000 people that see it and the third 1,000 people that see it might also have a similar response. Now, organic content doesn't do that. Organic content is like a shotgun approach. You don't know really, you can't control who see the content. So I think when it comes to building a system that helps you grab attention consistently, then the mechanism that I like to use is just paid ads. And that will be Meta Ads, Google Ads, all these systems. Because if you spend time and effort on crafting a message that actually works, then the budget will help you amplify that. And to increase the budget is not a very difficult thing to do. You literally go into your computer, you say, change budget from 1,000 Rand a day to 1,200 Rand a day, and you press click. And now the algorithm is doing most of the heavy lifting for you. And the platform is starting to put the ad in front of more people on your behalf. So there's something called ROE, and I want to get back to that question because I actually haven't read it, but just something on ROE. I just want to put something on, is like ROE. A lot of people talk about ROI, which is how much money am I spending, how much money am I getting back? I like to talk about ROE, meaning what is the return on my effort? The E stands for effort, return on effort. And I think organic content can become a ton of effort. Trust me, I'm posting 2 organic pieces of content a day. So we create, which is not a lot, but it's a situation where you're going, listen, it takes time to create those videos. It takes time to edit them. It takes time to make sure that they go live, make sure, like, it's a whole process. When it comes to creating an ad, you shoot the ad once, or you shoot 5 ads once, 3 of them work. And then once a month, you just shoot new ads and you see what works and what doesn't work. And you keep spending money on the ones that are working. So from a cold calling and email perspective, again, like, it can be, it's not as simple. It's still effort that has to be done on a daily basis. And the question then becomes, how scalable is that? And, you know, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, with AI and technology, you can. And trust me, we send 10,000 emails thanks to technology a week, and thanks to AI a week. But I can tell you now, it's not nearly as effective as running ads. So from my perspective, if you want to generate attention, the best way to do it consistently and in a way that is scalable is just through paid ads.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get to this question now, but not without adding my own 10 cents in there. And the business that I ran, Real Meal Revolution, for like a decade, we went through patches of posting every day. We sent newsletters every day. And I can say with certainty that the periods where we ran ads effectively were definitely the most profitable periods. You know, we would change the ad budget and change the quality of the content, but the quality of the content in the adverts and media budget had like an inextricable link to revenue. Whereas, you know, I remember there were a few festive seasons where we ran literally like no organic posts at all and made a ton of revenue. And then there were periods where we had like organic posts, you know, coming out every day and like had sort of no bump. It does rise the tide, but as a small business, I mean, just so everyone knows, like, you're established. And so, you know, you have time and availability to produce this content. And I know that you have like at least one other person helping you edit and put the post together. But it's much cheaper, in my opinion, to produce like one great piece of content and put ad spend behind it than it is to, as you were saying earlier, try and produce great content consistently and just put it into the ether. And so that kind of speaks to this question from Vivian, where she said, are you talking about boosting posts or running ads? And I've noticed a few of my clients don't necessarily understand the difference.
Yeah, so boosting a post is running an ad. And the question now becomes, how well are you doing it? Okay, so when I say you have to run ads, we also need to understand that there's always a quantifying factor that will determine if it's going to work or not. And that quantifying factor is how effective you're doing it, okay? How good you are doing it. It's not whether you're running ads or not. It's whether you're actually doing it to the best of the algorithm's ability and whether you are understanding the mechanisms at play and you're leveraging them to the best of their potential in order to generate the demand and the necessary sales that comes with it. Now, if you boost a post, there's nothing wrong with it. You will get attention, but there's less control over how to scale that. There's less control over who's going to see it. There's less control over just results in general. And the reason that is because the boost post function is improving on a yearly basis. Don't get me wrong. And at some point, maybe it will be as effective as just, you know, the Meta backend, which is using AI mainly today in order to find existing customers. And maybe the boost post button will, you know, be able to do that as effectively. But we haven't seen any boosted post really outperform the best way to run ads, which is going back into the back end of Facebook, which is called the ads manager, and creating a specific campaign from there. Because the boost post button there's a lot of elements missing that will ensure that you increase the probability of return on investment. And the back end just gives you more options to tick, more things to choose that will allow you to actually reach the customer you want to reach and say to that customer what you want to say. So it gives you just a bit more of a bit more options to refine who you actually want to speak to and what you want to say to them, where the boost post button is a bit limited on that. So both of them will put, both the back end of Ads Manager and the front end boost post button will allow you to reach more people. But the boost post button is just, it's a bit limited. And because of that limitation, it's not as effective. Where the Ads Manager has got a lot more things that you can consider and say yes to and say no to and tweak and change to ensure that the right people at the right time see what you want to see, see what you want to say.
Well, this is another great segue into the next thing we're going to talk about, because I've been trying to convince clients that they have to actually have a direct URL if they're going to put ad spend behind a post. Now, because of what you said, basically, we've never ever just boosted posts unless it's been for a brand that really needs to grow brand and get their message out. But the next thing that you're talking about is intent. And you're going to talk about landing pages and everything. But I wanted to hear from you, like, if, the theory is if you have an ad and someone clicks on the ad and they land on a page, that page needs to be absolutely obvious that they've landed on the right place. So the theory is that whatever they land on needs to look very similar to what the advert looked like. And for that reason, like, we never run ads that go from from a specific advert for a product into like a general shop page. Usually we direct them directly to a page that advertises, or that is selling the exact product that we've been advertising. I don't know if you can do that on a boosted post, but that's what we do.
Yeah, you can do it on a boosted post. Like I said, the boost post function is getting better every year, at least from what I can see. And there's maybe a good chance it will one day be as effective as Ads Manager in the back end. I don't know. I can't say. You never know with technology and AI. But for now, unfortunately, it's not there yet. And I think what it comes down to is, yes, you need to, because this is where we go into the intention part, right? The ads are not there to get people to say yes to the product or service. It's there to get them interested in it. Okay, it's there to get them to get their attention, to go, ooh, what is this? So if you have a product that helps people sleep at night, okay, then you will be creating ads that indicates and tells people that this product helps you sleep better at night. Now, an ad is only 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes long. And that is not always enough time to 100% convince someone that this is the exact product I want to buy. So what happens with an actual ad is it generates attention. Okay, that's why I say the ads are the best way to do it, because one, if you put budget in and you put your credit card in, the algorithm says, let's run with it. And if you know what you're doing, you can point that in the right direction to make sure you're targeting the people who actually potentially is struggling to sleep at night. So you can target people who are maybe females who are perimenopause. There's a good chance that they are of a specific age and they're female. So therefore, by targeting them and saying, if you're struggling to sleep at night, it might be because of X. And therefore, this product helps you fix X, Y, and Z, which helps you sleep better at night. And what's going to happen is they're going to see that ad and they're not going to go, oh, take my money, I want to buy this product. They're going to go, oh, this is interesting because this is exactly what I'm experiencing. Let me now learn more about this. So it's like a situation of like, I have now crossed the bridge from attention to, ooh, I am more interested in what you have to say about the specific product or service. And I now want to learn enough information about this product to determine if it's a fit for me, for who I am as a unique individual. And that's where a landing page comes in, or a product page comes in. And that product page now, the job of that page is to create a deep intent of, listen, this is the product, this is the ingredients, this is why we've chosen these ingredients, this is why it works for females who's perimenopause, this is probably why you're struggling to sleep, and this is how the ingredients helps you sleep a healthy 8 hours a night. And the moment they read all that information, or they watch a video on the product page and they see reviews and testimonials and potential case studies or whatever it may be of other people who've used this product, and who've had good success with it, there's a good chance that they will now have trust in you, the business owner or brand, and the product. So I always say there's three things that needs to happen in a customer's mind. They have to believe in you, the founder, they have to believe in the brand, and they have to believe in the product. If they believe in all three things, there's a good chance the sale will be quite easy and frictionless to get. If they only believe one, it might be a bit harder. If they only believe two, it might be a bit easier. But if they believe in all three, if you can get them to believe in all three things, the founder, the brand, and the actual product they're looking at under the brand, there's a good chance that they will say yes. And that's why I believe that you as a founder, if it's Black Friday, take out your phone, record an ad as a founder. We call it founder-led strategies, where people can see who is behind the business, because in a world where nobody really trusts each other anymore because of all the noise out there, aka AI and technology and scam artists that's using this to their abilities to take money that's not theirs, what happens is people hold back on trust. So the ad is going to get them to be interested in the product, but the landing page is then, and the product page and the website then is then there to convince them that this is the right people I actually want to put money behind, and this is the right product I want to put my money into, that most likely will solve the problem that I have. But this is a segue into conversion. There is only 1 or 2 or 3% of people that will give you their money after clicking on the ad. That's what people don't understand. I've got, back in the day, I'm not involved in the agency as much as I used to be. I'm only there from a consulting point of view to the team. But when I was still very involved in the agency, one of the common questions I got was like, my website's broken. Like, I need a better website. And then I would go and look at the conversion rate, and the conversion rate is 2 or 3%. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with your website. You're just ignorant, unfortunately, and that's okay. You just don't have the information, or you've never had someone tell you that it is a numbers game, and that a 2% conversion rate on the traffic that you're generating, or 3% conversion rate on the traffic that you're generating, is actually normal and okay. And let's build on that. So people have this misconception that you're going to run an ad, you're going to get 10 clicks, and in those 10 clicks, they're going to have 8 sales. And that's just not how it works, unfortunately. So you need to understand that you're going to get 100 people to click. You're going to get 1,000 people to see the ad, or maybe 10,000 people to see the ad. Then 1,000 of them is going to click on the ad. And then only 10 of them are most likely going to convert into a customer. And that's just the numbers game of digital marketing, and it is how it is.
Yeah.
And yes, you can improve on it slightly, but you can't change it completely.
I wanted to just touch on generating intent on a sales page. I actually copied and pasted some theory, which I'm going to share in the comments. But when I was building landing pages, I remember going through the same thing, and I didn't realize what a missed opportunity was happening on Real Meal. And I remember getting immersed into Russell Brunson stuff, and he wrote Expert Secrets, which I highly recommend. And then he had a colleague of his write a book, but part of his series called Copywriting Secrets. And in that book, they had they outlined the 13-step sales process. And for a lot of you, you've probably clicked on an American advert from time to time, like selling some online course or whatever, and have this and you see those long form sales pages, and there are 13 elements in that sales page. And if you have all 13 in your page, each one does increase the likelihood of a sale. Some of them, I would say that South African buyers aren't they don't need as much of an American style sales page as the Americans. I don't know if you've noticed that, Jandre, but I found like some people who read that page were like, my bro, this is like a bit tacky. But the elements, you don't have to have them as, laid out in that order, in that style, but to have all of these different elements in some way in your page does add value. I'm going to drop the comment now. And then the other thing I was going to say is sometimes they are implicit. So for example, one of the elements here, and I'm going to post it to all now. In fact, I'm going to space it out a bit. Like one of the elements is peer proof. So social proof. And, if you have a celebrity endorsement, and that person has won like a World Cup or is a champion, that takes a whole lot of your need to convince them with compelling copy out of the picture, because that person stands for social proof, success, trust, and all of these different things. So whatever collateral you see these big brands using, the ones that are effective always include these 13 elements. And Jandre, while I'm editing this, I don't know if you want to add color to that, like when you've used long form and short form landing pages for different products.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, what we normally do is we will send people to a product page, which is a very basic product page, the default type of product page you see. And you know what I'm talking about. That's the product on the left. It's the title, the price, and the reviews on the right with a short description and then a buy now button. And now there's a bunch of things that you can do that will allow you to increase the conversion rate of that page. Like you're saying, reviews and trust badges of saying that the website is secure, because that's one thing people always worry about. Testimonials of who else have used the product and what they think of it, etc. Now, what we normally do is let's say you've got 10 products. What we would normally do is we'll look at the top seller. There's a good chance that out of those 10 products that you have, that there's 2 of them that's actually generating the most amount of revenue for the business or generating the most amount of sales. And then we would go and take that product page and turn it into a longer form sales page. And the idea behind that is to mimic the experience of someone walking into a store and getting the help they need from an actual physical person, giving them the necessary perspectives and advice that they need in order to make a decision when it comes to buying the product at a specific price that they might be a little bit uncomfortable with. So it's a situation where if you walk into a physical retail store, there's always going to be someone potentially meeting you at the door or somewhere in the shop and going, "Sorry, ma'am, can I help you with something?" And then they're going to go, yeah, I'm looking for, these pair of jeans, or I'm looking for a shirt. And, oh, great. What size are you? XL. Cool. Let's go. Here's an XL. Here's a color that matches your eyes. And this is great quality. Oh, but the shirt is $1,000. Yeah, it's a very expensive shirt, but it's of the finest quality, and it will never ever shrink no matter how you decide to wash it. And when you listen to all of those kind of information from the sales representative, maybe it's lies, maybe it's not, hopefully it's facts and truth, then you go, oh, cool, okay, well, it's a little bit more than I would normally spend on a t-shirt, but that's okay. Let me actually just get it. Now, if we ask ourselves again, if we break it down to the basics, what happened here that allowed that person to say yes? That person got a lot of contextual information around the concerns or the objectives that they might have had around regarding the product. They got those answered by a person who was reacting to the questions that they were asking. Now, first of all, there was a person that they could actually ask those questions to. Now, on a website, yeah, you can have a chatbot and those things, but the percentage of people who actually use that are not that much. So if you wanted to increase the probability of someone having a very similar experience, you should know that you can't just have a random conversation with them as a human. There's no button you can click and start speaking to every single person who's on the website and they're going to be able to hear you. That's not how it works. So you're going to have to write copy and curate videos that can help answer these questions that these people will most likely have in the back of their minds. And why do you know that? Because you've had similar conversations with a bunch of other people. And it turns out that 60% of people worry about the same stuff. Will this work for me? Why is it so expensive? How does this differ to a competitor? So those kind of general frequently asked questions you can take, and you can then build that into the sales page in a way that's very easy to read, easy to understand. Write ideally in a 5th grader reading level and speak in a 5th grader reading level. That's something I've been trying to consciously do over the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 months, is when I create content and when I articulate myself. I'm terrible at it still. I feel like I'm getting slightly better on a monthly basis, is to speak in a way that everybody will understand what you're saying. And when you get that right, and you can write copy in that way, you'll be able to hold attention, because the attention leaves when people feel like this is not for them. And it's usually got to do with the brain not understanding what you're saying. And then the brain subconsciously tells you to go and do something else, because what I'm doing now, I'm not understanding and it's not making sense and it's probably not applicable to me. So if you can then let's take a step back now and just conclude what I've been said up until now. You've got your ads running to a product page. If you've got certain products that do exceptionally well, I can tell you now, there's a good chance the conversion rate will be slightly higher, meaning you'll convert more people that's coming to the website into customers. And by doing that is that you're going to build a sales page or a longer form sales page for that specific product. Now, why, Jandre, don't we do it for all 10? Because maybe it's not necessary. Like if you've got the time to go and do it for all 10 products or 20 products or 100 products that you've got, great. But what we do is it's a lot of work. So what is the return on effort? What is the ROE on this? So the ROE is to run it to a really decent product page, see what products are doing well, and then go and spend your effort on those products, because there's a good chance that you will have a healthy return on effort, because the data is telling you that that's what people want and that's what's converting already. And if that is converting healthy in a healthy fashion, then there's a good chance it will convert even better if you articulate more about the product. And this is the final thought around this. And this is a simple formula for people to understand, is that if people are not buying your products, even though they are seeing it and they're looking at and reading the information of those products, there's a good chance they don't believe that the value matches the price. Think about it. If someone came to you and said, here is a secondhand Ferrari, 2016 model, 17 model, it's going to cost you 200,000 Rand. Even if you didn't have 200,000 Rand, even if you only had 50,000 Rand to your name, you would find a plan, you would make a plan in order to collect an extra 150,000, even if it has to be raised from friends, family, or whatever, or make a loan, in order to buy that Ferrari for 200,000 Rand. And why would you do that? Because you know that Ferrari is probably worth 2 million or 3 million Rand. And if you can buy it for 200K, there's a good chance you can sell it for 2 to 3 million to someone else, which means you can make a ton of profit. And the reason you know that is because you know what the value of a Ferrari is. Now, the same thing with your products. The question is, do people know what the value of your products are? And if they don't, they're not going to probably want to spend the money to acquire it or to buy it. So your job is when someone comes to your site, your job is to make sure that they actually understand what the hell the value of the product actually is. And a lot of people think they're doing that. And yes, they might have a beautiful long description on what makes the product unique. But this is where you also have to understand consumer psychology. And you should know that if you're going to write a product description that looks like a long WhatsApp joke, that almost nobody's going to read it. Because that is essentially what happens when a friend sends you a WhatsApp joke. Is they send you a WhatsApp joke and it's so long, and all you do is you reply with a laugh emoji. And they feel warm and fuzzy. They feel warm and fuzzy. Yeah, it's like they feel warm and fuzzy inside, but you know you didn't read all of that because your brain just, it was like almost like this inner battle to have to read all of that. And your brain was just kicking back going, I don't want to do this. And I think when you understand how the consumer psychology works, how the consumer's brains work, it's up to you. That's where marketing comes in. And that's where you then write in a specific way and you make sure that it's easy to read and that it's easy to navigate and the site is easy to scroll and to see what is actually the information that needs to be presented to for someone to understand the value of the product. And that is, just touching on the intention side, which is actually having a website and a landing page to drive people to. So the ads create attention, the product page and the landing page and the website creates intention. But even that said, there's still a big percentage of people who's not going to say yes, and that's okay. And that's where the last step obviously comes in as well.
Yes. So we're going to talk about, I actually separated them because nurture and converting felt different to me, but you clustered them together. So let me edit this thingy quickly and say nurture and conversion.
Yeah. So
that's getting people over the line.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It just depends on the perspective of where you're looking from. So if you're looking from a B2B perspective, then nurture has to happen before conversion. But I promise you, the moment nurture happens, conversion happens. So yeah. I think that's kind of like how the formula works here is that in my mind is that when you start to nurture, the conversion automatically will happen. So there's nothing that you have to do extra in the nurturing process to drive the conversion. It's just focusing on nurturing, which then drives the conversion. And what we mean by nurturing is that we now know that mathematically speaking, it's just how it is. 10,000 people will see the ad. 1% of people will click through. That's just how it is. 1 to 2% of people. So if 10,000 people see the ad, there's a good chance that, let's say in a good world, 500 people, 10,000, 1,000 is 10%. So 100 to 200. Yeah, so 100 to 200 people will go to your website, right? And now you're going to think my ad needs to be better. It's like, I mean, that's just the norm. That's how it is. Yeah, you can maybe do certain things to improve the CTR, the click-through rate of that ad, but there's only so much you're going to be able to do, and the return on effort might not be worth it. So now it's just a matter of how do you actually, after having people click, those 100 to 200 people click, how do you get them to convert? Now, out of those 100 to 200 people, what's going to happen is 1 to 2% of them are going to convert. So you're going to sit with 2 to 4 sales. Okay. So now 10,000 people saw the ad, 100 to 200 people clicked, and 2 to 4 people bought. All right. Now there's a big percentage of people who didn't buy, but who might just not have spent enough time on the website to learn more about the product or service. So it could be the value equation is, the value is still over here and the price is still over there in their minds. You know, that is technically what's happening right now, is that they either spent too little time on the website, they didn't read everything they needed to read, they didn't watch everything they needed to watch. Maybe you could have placed that information better so that a higher percentage of people actually process that and spend time on reading and watching the information that they need to pay attention to. Or, you know, let's say you've done a good job with that. It's unfortunate that, you know, a lot of people will still feel like it's not going to be worth their money. And that is where the nurturing comes in. And nurturing is done through email, SMS, WhatsApp, whatever it may be. So what happens is people leave their carts. Okay. This is where what we call abandoned carts. So the definition of someone leaving that wasn't 100% sold on the product, but they expressed intent, is that they normally go add to cart, they go to the checkout page, and then what happens is that they go, I don't know, this is not for me. And 60, 70, or 80% of people leave their carts. And that's normal. Again, you can sit there and cry about it and you can go, we need to do something better. Yeah. So I had clients, you know, back in the day who said, like, you know, our website's broken because 70% of people abandon their carts. I was like, you know what? That's just how it is. And he blamed us for making up silly excuses. And he came back a year later realizing that we were actually right. That's just how it is. So he went to 2 other agencies to build him a brand new site, spent 30K per agency. After 100, 200K later, he came back to us going, oh, you guys were right. So this is how it is. I was like, we're not making this shit up. It's when I'm telling you this is how it is, that's how it is. So it's understanding that it's a numbers game, and your job is to build certain, say, initiatives into your strategy that can increase the numbers in your favor. And abandoned cart strategies is one of them. And what it basically entails is if someone leaves their cart, you most likely would have captured their number and their email, because you have to give that information in order to get to the payment process. And they usually drop off within that payment process. And because you have their email and their contact number, you can have emails and SMSs and WhatsApps sent to them. And ideally what you want to do is then focus more on not reminding them. So this is the mistake people make. They go, hey, you left this in your cart. Message number 2, you left this in your cart. Message number 3, this is still in your cart. That person knows the product is in their cart. They consciously left, leaving it in their cart. And there's a big percentage of people who might have forgotten about it. And there's a good idea to remind them. But usually the biggest issue is they're not convinced that it's worth their while. Because if they were convinced that it's actually worth their while, then they would have bought it. So what you need to then do as a marketer and a business owner is to give them more information about the product or service that's going to change their minds that it's worth buying. And an easiest way to do that is to ask yourself, why would these people not want to buy it in the first place? And usually, if you speak to enough people, they will tell you. This is why it's important to phone people in the beginning. So what we normally do is when people leave their carts, we phone them, especially in the early stages of a business. We phone them. Hey, you left your cart. What happened? Oh, I wasn't sure. I wasn't this. Oh, and you make notes of all those things. And after 100 calls, you're going to get a list of 5 to 6 questions that are just very common. And that was common in about 80% of the people who left. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take Yeah, what you do is you take those questions and those uncertainties and those objections, and you put it in an email and in a WhatsApp and an SMS and go, oh, if you're worried about price when it comes to this whey protein, then let me just share a perspective with you. The normal whey protein costs $800 or whatever it is, okay? And if you're a healthy individual who's looking to lose weight, then you're going to have to eat healthy. Eating healthy is quite expensive. The average healthy meal costs about 40, 50, 60, $70 if you make it yourself. Now, what we do is we sell you this meal replacement shake. And if you look at the cost divided by the total amount of servings, then the actual meal is costing you 12 or 15 bucks, 20 bucks. So technically, you're replacing a meal that would have cost 50 bucks if you had to make it yourself, 150 bucks if you were eating at a restaurant. And we replaced that with a 20 to 30 Rand meal. So even though the price of 1,000 or 800 bucks is very expensive, it's still much cheaper. And it's also a lot quicker. So the average meal would have taken you 15 to 20 minutes to prepare. It would have cost you 50 bucks. So we've saved you both time and we've saved you money. You're welcome.
There's a great story from last week with one of my clients. They had someone come in and order, like, the order was about 9,000 rands worth online, which is a phenomenal sale through an online store. And they had left off specific details for personalization of this product because it was a gift. And usually they would just send it unpersonalized because they would assume it's just, they don't want that much detail. Anyway, and this guy phoned just to double check. And on the phone, the woman he was speaking to said, actually, I know I've ordered 4, but can I have another 10? Because she couldn't figure out how to fill in the personalization details in the checkout. And because she couldn't figure it out, she was like, okay, well, I'll order these 4 for the people who I'm not going to personalize it for, but I'll get like a completely different gift for the other 10 people. And so that sale turned into like a 30,000 Rand order just from picking up the phone. Yeah, and a lot of people, like Jandre, I had a core value of my business in 2014, which was automate everything. And what that meant really was we're never going to speak to customers ever. Like, we want live bots. We want to have like FAQ, DIY. Like, we just don't want to speak to people. And we basically, I think we missed out on so much free education on what would make people or what would encourage people to buy. And we just like shut the door. And our customer was like a 50 to 65-year-old woman who's not a tech savvy person.
I think that's why I think AI, for now at least, there's a huge gap still. So a lot of people are trying to use it to replace everything. And to an extent, you can try, and that's great if you get it right. But most businesses, people want to speak to people. We have seen that the moment people realize it's AI, there's a huge percentage of them that could just stop conversing. And they stop conversing not because they got the answer. They stop conversing because they know the answer is going to be generic. And even if AI contextualizes to their body weight, there is a percentage of people that is enjoying the engagement because it's fast, effective, and a real human would have probably given you that information a lot slower. But most people, especially in our country for now, wants to deal with people. They want someone else on the other side to be empathetic. They want someone on the other side to be compassionate, and they want to feel important. And AI doesn't do any of those 3 things. And if it does, it doesn't do it as well as a human can. But on the flip side, a human can also make you feel the opposite of those 3 things. But if it's a situation where when a human gets involved in a conversation with a customer, and that human can feel like the person on the other side was empathetic, compassionate, and caring, and really wanted what's best for the customer, for them, then I promise you, you've won yourself a customer for life. Even if it's not with money, it is with word. But
are you good?
Yeah. I think from my side, the last note is just there might be people with lead generation business, and then I want to maybe just answer some questions in the comments for us. But there's a lot of people who have lead generation businesses, and it's very some of the same thing. Like someone, for our agency specifically, I'm just going to use that as an example. We use ads, and we don't spend a ton of money on marketing. we do put a lot of effort into it. But the amount of money that we'll spend, I think people will be surprised of how much we actually spend. But we spend money on ads because we know that's a consistent way to drive attention and point attention to the website. The website, I mean, you can look at V8 Media's website if you want. You'll see it's curated and written, and people, you know how many people have emailed me and said, Jandre, I can help you build a much better website. You know, for the leading marketing agency in the country, your website is loads too slow and it's got too much text and it's got too much this and it's got, I was like, bro, if you only saw the data on the back end, you know, yes, maybe it wouldn't fit a Russell Brunson style. And I'm glad that you bought his book and then you read his book and now you feel you can add value. That's great. And I appreciate that enthusiasm. But everything we do is backed by a sense of data. And what we've realized is that, you know, that website of ours, of V8 Media specifically, converts really healthily. So we drive the ads there to the homepage, and people leave their details and inquire, but not every single person who inquires is going to buy our service. Okay. And that's where we send them more emails of people who had, you know, success with the agency. And we're very transparent and we tell them that we're not perfect. We tell them that we make mistakes. We do it. Like literally, one of my email automations tells people literally, like, we're not perfect. So if you're looking for the perfect agency, it's probably not going to be us. And that also builds a level of trust and credibility. But the bottom line is this is how we nurture the intention of people who have expressed interest. And we have had people jump on a sales call with our team where they went, I've been following you guys for 2 years. I've inquired 2 years ago. I couldn't afford the service. Or I inquired 2 years ago and I spoke to someone I didn't have the best experience. But I'm here now and I know what you guys do and I know the success that you've had, and just tell me what it costs. And then all we do is we go, well, cool, this is what we do. This is how much it costs. And then we get a yes, because we have technically been nurturing that relationship for 2 years. And the nurturing process was the ROE on that, the return on effort, was very little because it's mostly automated and it's a weekly email that I craft. And that weekly email takes me 10 minutes to create or 20 minutes to create. And the nice thing is, if it's one person in the database, it still takes me 20 minutes. If it's 20,000, 40,000 people in my database, it still takes me 20 minutes. And I think that's the nice thing about technology, is if you use these nurturing strategies and you apply technology and AI in the back of that, the amount of effort becomes less, but the impact still remains. And the more people you start to nurture, it's still going to be the same amount of effort.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk about the data a little bit more, and then there's a question here for you. But like, I had a lot of agencies, you know, with that other business, and I remember trying to look for a way to measure a copywriter and a designer, because, well, designer in particular is, well, I used to find it very hard to measure because you get a good designer and a bad designer. And I was always trying to get someone to look, we were very visual, very, like, food focused. We have beautiful food photography. And I remember just thinking, like, I don't know how to, like, we had a designer at one point that I wasn't, like, kind of 100% happy with, and I didn't really know how to rate them. And my mentor said to me, well, what do they design? I said, well, they design like banners and ads and stuff. And he said, okay, well, then your metric, and like, what are those banners supposed to do? And I said, oh, okay, well, they're supposed to create click-through and you know, conversions, click-through from email, etc. And when I looked at it through that lens, I actually went and looked back at a whole lot of the other agencies that I'd used and a lot of the newsletters and stuff that I'd sent out. And I decided to have a hack at it myself. And at that time, I think I wasn't even using Canva yet. I was using PowerPoint or Google Slides. So I would take like a background photograph of real meals, and then I would put a headline over it and then give it a drop shadow. And it was very simple. It was like, and like bold text. And I would then screen print that and save it as a JPEG, and then put that into my newsletter system. And then after that, I eventually like found another agency and employed them. And I look back, and the highest conversion and click-through rates were coming from the emails that had been designed by someone on PowerPoint. And a lot of people don't realize this is like, even though you want everything to look good, it is more important that it is effective than it is to look good with banners. And I remember there was like an absolute celebration at Real Meal when Facebook changed the rule. Because I don't know if you remember, you used to only be able to have 20% of your ad or even 10% of your visual as copy. And so you couldn't put like bold headlines into your creative. You remember that? And then one day they just dropped that rule and we were like, boom, like the whole thing was basically just like, like it wasn't exactly lose weight now, ask me how, but close. And all of a sudden, just like click-throughs just became epic. So it's something that, especially in Cape Town, people are so precious about, is like looking cool and making sure it's slick. But it's much more important that it is effective than it is looking slick. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about with your newsletters. I had one more thing I wanted to share because you were talking about getting attention earlier. And the most effective newsletter that V8 ever sent to my database was and the subject line was just RE colon. And basically, because it looked like a reply. And so when you were talking about getting attention, there's like this nuance between creating intrigue and solving someone's problem. But you never, ever give the answer away in the headline. I've seen headlines that say stuff like, the answer, like cholesterol is no longer a threat. And you're like, well, now I've had the answer to the email and the article that you were trying to get me to click through. The better option is like, you won't believe the news that just dropped about cholesterol. And then someone's like, okay, like now I need to go and click. But even more effective was RE colon, because it's like, Jandre is just, Jonno's just sent me this email and it looks like a response to an email I sent him. Like, what could this possibly be?
That's like our jobs is to fit into people's lives as a marketer. I think the best marketers fit into a platform, fit into the behavior of the normal human being. And most normal people send and receive emails, and therefore, if you want to put a marketing message in front of them, the last thing that you should do is have a subject line that's full caps, because who does that? Mostly just corporate companies who want to send you newsletters and random pieces of information that you probably don't need or that you really care about. And I think the moment you figure out how to fly under the radar, as opposed to, and I mean, when I say under the radar, I'm not saying that you should go and create an ad that is terrible, that nobody's going to want to look at. It's creating an ad that doesn't look like an ad. The moment an ad looks like an ad, the only time that really works is Black Friday, because then people are looking for ads. They're actually looking for deals. So people go like, I don't know, this Black Friday creative, we said 20% off and everybody went nuts. And then in February, Valentine's Day, we did the same deal and nobody cared. I was like, yeah, because it's the psychological behavior has shifted. So it's completely changed. Black Friday, people are looking for deals. Valentine's Day, maybe not so much. Valentine's Day might be a simple, a stupid example, but just any other day. Like if you're just running a generic special any time of the month, you're like, what is the reason for the special? Why should I care about it? So it's understanding that. It's just understanding how the brain works and how you can fit into those patterns of, how the brain sends information back and forth. I don't know what I'm really trying to say, but it's like, you want to fit into those neurons. You want to, I'm struggling to articulate myself in a way that it makes sense, but it's like, you need to blend in with what the fuck is happening in the mind. And if you can do that, I think you'll be exceptional at, persuading people to want to look at your products or services.
Lekker. Let's do some Q&A. We've got some interesting questions here. I've got one at the moment. It's a shame old Lee's getting a lot of bot sessions from China. Have you ever had that problem, Jandre?
We had bots hit our Shopify store last month, actually, funny enough. It was huge. It was crazy. But it's because we created a brand new Facebook page and we had a lot of meta bots crawl our website to see what we're all about. So we realized, like, we had sessions. Our average day, we probably have, I don't know, 5,000 sessions or 6,000 sessions on the website. This is one of the brands that we own. And we set up a brand new Facebook page, and we were experimenting a new strategy. And we probably had like 20,000 sessions over a period of, per day over 2 days. And our conversion rate was like 0.5, where it's normally like 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. And I said to the team, I was like, this is so strange. Like, what the hell's happening? Did we change anything? Because I thought maybe we're running ads on TikTok and we're getting a ton of cheap traffic, but that traffic is maybe not, our ideal customers. And then the team said, no, we haven't changed anything really, except for changing the Facebook page or running another Facebook page, ads on another Facebook page. And then I realized Meta, because it's a brand new Facebook page, it's now pointing traffic somewhere. From an ad point of view, they sent millions of bots or thousands of bots to go and crawl the website. So the traffic that we were seeing was actually the bots crawling the website. So if you are getting bots, usually people crawling, looking for information, if it's from China, I don't know what you've done to create that level of, I don't know, interest, or if it's
not TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok, even though it's Chinese owned, doesn't mean the traffic will come from China. It comes from where the people are from, right? So, but I understand what it could be. Maybe he started running TikTok ads and TikTok was crawling. Is now TikTok itself is actually sending bots to see what the website's all about potentially. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you. There is settings, an app on Shopify. So maybe you just want to Google block bot traffic, Shopify app. And then what happens, it doesn't mean the traffic will still hit the site. It just means it won't show up on your analytics. So the analytics on Shopify will then just, because this is my issue. Like, I don't give a shit if the bots are on the site or not. What I care about is how it's affecting the data that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Because now my conversion rate is 0.5% when it's normally 2.5. I can make a lot of stupid decisions now. I can go into a panic mode and rebuild the whole site, or we can switch all our ads off and run new ads, or, just by looking at that piece of information, looking at that data. So for me, as a data-driven individual with a team who wants to make decisions based on data, it's the fact that I couldn't care less if there's a bot on the site. I just don't want it to affect my data, because that leads to bad decision-making.
Yeah. Well, here's a question from Matthew. He says, do you ever have a problem when you're spending on ads and getting no return? He usually says, scale up ad spend. What's the best approach?
Well, if you're not getting return from your ad spend, then very seldom spending more is going to get you better results. Unless you're spending way too little, which is like 50 or $100 a day, or maybe $200 a day. But even in those cases, normally spending more won't necessarily help improve the results. So if you're not getting the results you want from your ads, then you just need to do an audit on potentially why that is. And it starts with your click-through rate. So is the ad actually grabbing the necessary attention that it needs to grab? And a healthy click-through rate is about 1% to 2%. So if your ad is generating attention and click-throughs at a 0.5% rate, then obviously the ad is crappy and you just need to run a better ad. So that's the first thing, I think, is understanding, okay, cool, is my click-through rate healthy? If the click-through rate is healthy, then it means that the attention I'm grabbing is sufficient. Then the second thing is your link click-through rate. So there's a difference between your traditional click-through rate and your link click-through rate. So the traditional click-through rate is someone engaging with the ad. Engagement could be a like, a comment, a share, a click, a photo view, etc. It could also be a link click. But a link click-through rate is purely when someone saw the ad and actually clicked through to the website. Okay, so your traditional click-through rate, could be maybe 2 to 3%, 1.5 to 2.5%, around there. And then the question is, are people actually clicking through? Because maybe people are stopping to watch the ad or look at the ad or read the ad, but they're not clicking through. And that means that you're grabbing attention, but you're not saying the right thing to convince them to go and check things out on the website. You're not saying enough to get them interested in the product. So that becomes a messaging issue. So when I look at ads, it's normally like, is it an actual attention grabbing issue or is it a messaging issue? The traditional CTR, click-through rate mechanism, will tell you if it's an attention grabbing issue. So if it's less than 1.5% or less than 1%, I'd say 1.5%, then you probably need to grab attention better. And if the link click-through rate is less than, I'd say 0.5 or 0.8 to 1.5%. If it's under that, then you probably have a messaging issue that you need to improve. And then if people are on the website, now the question becomes, what's the conversion rate of the website? Because there's all these nuances that we need to consider when it comes to our ad strategies. So someone would just completely pause that ad and go and create new ads. That's cool. But if you're going to create a new ad, what information from the bad ad can you use in order to strategically improve the ad in a way that there's a higher probability of success? And that's why data is so important, and understanding the data is so important. So, because someone can easily say, oh, we just need a new ad. Okay, cool. But how are we going to design this new ad in order to ensure that it doesn't perform the same way that the other bad ad did? And that's what you need to ask yourself these questions.
Yeah, and sometimes, if you think about any store in real life and in the internet, sometimes every store has got like their products that sell the most and products that sell the least. And I've had it where, we've marketed products that have knocked the lights out, shot the lights out. And then some products are just like not that popular. I mean, if you go into a supermarket, there will be like a number one selling deodorant. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the marketing of all the other deodorants is broken. It just means that the market wants more of that than this. My favorite example was working at a music festival once, where there was a steak roll stand, like a shawarma stand, and a pizza stand. And there were no brands because they were all just like, random like market store people. And guys, like, people like pizza more than they like shawarmas and more than they like steak rolls. And that's just the bottom line. And so the queue at the pizza stand was like 100 meters long. And that's what it could be with your product in your store. So sometimes the product that you have set up these funnels for, like, it's just not as desirable as some of the other things that you're trying to sell. So if you've tweaked the funnel and you've tweaked the page and you think you've done everything possible and it's still not viable, then maybe that's a product that you upsell with through email and order bumps, and maybe you need to back a different horse in terms of the product you decide to put ad spend behind. That's my view.
I think there's 4 things that really will allow you that you need to dissect. Four things that you have to do introspection on, audit, in order to determine what is wrong with your strategy. And the strategy is obviously, when people say strategy, it means literally the A to Z of running an ad and making sales. But there's 3 to 4 things in between that people need to consider. It's the actual quality of the ad. It's the actual quality of the message. So not just, like I said now, the attention rate of the ad. Like, is it great? Because I can have someone come and kick me in the nuts on a video, and people are going to want to watch it. They're going to be like, that's funny, ha ha ha. But that's not going to convert into traffic to the site and generate leads. So that's what people need to understand, is like the attention needs to be very closely matched with the message, so that the attention and the message is almost like a seamless transition, so that people would want to click through to this website. So if you're going to have someone come and kick me in the nuts, they most likely are going to want to watch it, but they're not going to want to click through to the website. And that's where you have an attention winning ad, but you have a message that's completely weak. And I think those are the first pillar, is the ad itself, and it consists of those 2 components. Then the website, like you said now, is like, is the value, as I mentioned earlier in this show, is the value clear enough, and is it enough value articulated in a specific way to make me want to spend that amount of money? And if it's not, you have to ask yourself what objections, what issues people have, and combat that. And then we spoke about the lead nurturing side of things. And the last thing that you're mentioning now that's actually so crucial, and it's actually, this is not part of necessarily the strategy that we discussed today, but it is part of the much bigger picture, which is selling products people want. It's like, that is the hardest thing, is finding shit people actually truly want. And that's the 90% of people who have issues with their ads don't know, is that they actually have crappy, mediocre products that nobody wants to buy. And then they're upset because Facebook is not working and email is not working and the agency is not working. It's like, it's because you have shitty products and you don't have someone who's assertive enough in telling you that. And I think it's just, you need better ideas.
Yeah, I see that a lot in the service businesses who haven't managed to package their products in a very easy way to buy or easy way to understand. It's very difficult to advertise a general service but it's very easy to advertise a product that promises a fixed outcome. But that, Jandre, is for another day. We've got a question here from Tabiso. He says, I'm trying to grow my businesses and not winning at the moment. He's got two. Yes, do I need a marketing strategy or a marketing and salesperson? I feel like we should ask a whole nother group of questions here, but high level views.
I mean, dude, what you need is perspective on what the issue is. Like, maybe you don't need either one of those two things. So the question is like, why is your business not growing? It might not be because of a marketing strategy. It might not be because of lack of a salesperson. I mean, yes, those things are crucial to create demand and sales. But the issue is that maybe you have a much bigger problem. And the question is like, what are you selling? Like, is it actually something that, like, it's a beautiful segue to our topic that we just spoke about, is that, are you selling shit that people want? And is that really benefiting their lives? And is it really at a cost that is convenient for them? And is it different and unique to other solutions in the market? Is it better than that? So if you can tick all those boxes, with your chest puffed out and go, yes, it is, then yes, maybe you need a marketing strategy. And before you get to a salesperson, is the marketing strategy. The salesperson is part of the marketing strategy. So just like by definition, marketing strategy means everything that you do on a daily basis that gets the brand out there and potentially generates sales. And a salesperson forms part of that. So the question is not, do you need a marketing strategy or a salesperson? Maybe it's a matter of both. The marketing strategy will include a salesperson. So I think the question is, what makes you unique? Is it really benefiting people? Are you selling it at a price that people can afford? And then it's a matter of, okay, cool. How do we actually get more people to know about the product? And how do we get more people to say yes to the product? And I think that's really the simplicity of it. So what are you doing to get more people to know about the product? Because that's the biggest issue most people have. Even if they have good products, the reason your business is not growing because not enough people know that you have good products. So you need to find out how to tell more people that you have good products. And you have to find out how to say it in a way that people understand and want to give you money for it.
Have you heard what Donald Miller says about calories?
No.
So he says that every thought requires calories, and you burn calories thinking. And so when you advertise to people, you have to remember that people are inherently lazy when it comes to what they decide to burn thought calories on. And so if your marketing message requires someone to think at all, to burn any calories, to figure out like what it is that you do, then you're making them work for you, basically. So you should basically, and he was talking a lot about like people who try to get too clever with their copywriting and give like cool names to their products and services, like the switchback and this, instead of just like downgrade. People always try and add, almost like trying to market too hard. And he just says like, every step of your sales process, you need to think, am I demanding a client burn calories to try and understand what it is that I'm selling? And like you were saying earlier, writing things in the language that a 5-year-old will understand, it limits the amount of calories anyone's going to have to burn. But the quickest way to like figure out like, are you on the right track with your business before getting to the marketing thing is like, if someone asks you what you do or what your business does, can you tell them without stuttering in one sentence, without giving any justification or backstory? Just like, I have a performance marketing agency, or I have a capital investment company, or I sell online weight loss programs to people who are obese or type 2 diabetes. Like, can you answer that question very quickly? Because if you can, then you can move on to the next step and develop a funnel. But if you can't, go return to start. Do not collect 200 Rand. Like,
100%, yeah. Don't go to start. Don't collect. You should actually just end up in jail. Get out of and not get out of jail card. And
exactly.
For those not knowing what we're doing, we're talking about monopoly. So Mikey actually said he said keep it simple, stupid. Like it's really the fundamentals of business. Mikey used to work in the V8 media agency. Good friend of mine. How's it, Mikey? Nice to see you here, my friend. Someone just asked, I don't know where that question is now. SEO or paid ads, or what's more expensive? I think there was a question.
Oh yeah, that was it was what? No, it's not what's more expensive. Like, what do you think's better, SEO or paid ads? I'm trying to find it now as well.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts on it. SEO versus paid ads is a great debate, and I think a lot of people are going to have different perspectives on it. Let me make it simple. How quickly do you need results for your business before it dies? How much money do you have to generate, and how quickly do you need to make it in order to ensure your business survives? If that answer is less than 6 months, then SEO is probably not going to be the best thing for the business. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying there's something else that you need to do to ensure that your business doesn't die in 6 months. And the reason I said it is because SEO takes time. It takes between 6 to 12 months to really kick in and get you ranked in the AI search engines as well as the traditional search engines like Google, Bing, etc. So the first question is, how quickly do you need to make money? And how long do you have before your business can't, keep funding itself anymore? So if that answer is less than 6 months, or maybe even 12 months, I'll be like, okay, SEO is an option, but it's not the number one priority right now. That's something we do when we've got bucks for it, and we've got an existing strategy that's just spitting out clients as of tomorrow. And this comes back to the philosophy and the perspectives I shared today. Is like paid ads has got the highest probability of generating clients and customers tomorrow for you. Like, can an organic piece of content do it? Yes, absolutely. We're getting leads from our organic content. I had 6 million views in the last 30 days on my organic content since I've taken it seriously. And out of those 6 million views,
6 million. Nice.
So, well, across all platforms. And the point I'm making is that out of 6 million people, yeah, we generated like an extra 20% leads or 30% leads or whatever. But it's not consistent. So organic social media is great for brand building. SEO is great for targeting people who are essentially looking for that solution, but that's going to take time. So if you're starting a brand new business and you want results fast, paid ads to a landing page with a lead nurturing situation strategy is just purely the best way to do it. And that is given the context of needing the results as quickly as possible. So I hope that answers the question. If you have an existing business that is thriving, that is profitable, and you can afford to do either SEO or paid ads, my perspective is, if you're not already doing paid ads, do paid ads first, because it can grow your business starting tomorrow. So even if you had a successful business and you don't do either paid ads or SEO, I would still start with paid ads, because why wait 6 months to get results when you can get it tomorrow? And then before people clip this into 60 seconds and say, I hate SEO, I love SEO, but do it parallel if you can afford both. Ideally, do both. It's not either or, it's do both. But if you can't afford both, run paid ads, make it profitable, then pay for the SEO services, thanks to the paid ads that generated results from day 1 or 2 or 3 or 30 or 60. But it will be shorter in terms of time to get those results as an SEO. So I hope that shares some light on my perspective, and hopefully it adds some value to someone.
Definitely. Geez, Jandre, we've covered a lot of ground. I'm going to try to turn this comment off. It's been a power 90 minutes. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Power 90 minutes. We've covered a lot. Black Friday, I think everyone's going to go and launch ads now. Yeah, to crack a little joke, there's no ways SEO is going to help you close deals next Friday if you're starting now. But it's been pretty epic to chat and hear about the automated client acquisition strategy. Grabbing attention, getting people to create intention, and then getting them to convert through nurturing and all other practices. Thanks very much to everyone for watching. Thanks for the comments. Jandre, you got a comment there? You gave me advice.
Yeah, that's just very cool. It says someone beneath the surface essay, very grateful for your comment. Thank you so much. It says, you gave me advice a few weeks ago and I was struggling with struggling with a hire. You basically said I must interview more candidates and show them the vision more, and I could find a gem. And she said the next thing says, I found the person. Thank you so much for the advice. So what I've realized in life is often we just don't do enough. So we interview 3 people and then we're upset that we didn't find the right candidate. It's like when we interview, just a perspective, when we interview people for a role, we probably get over 100 applicants. And out of that 100, we interview probably, I'd say 10, maybe 20. Well, we have a system that makes us sure that we spend time speaking to the right people through quizzes and questionnaires and one-way interview software that we use. But then we only interview like 10 or 8 or whatever, and then we hire someone. So you're just increasing the probability of you finding the right person. If you only hire 3, mathematically, what are the odds that you've got the best person? Like low.
Yeah.
So it's just like sometimes I realize we don't do enough. So when someone says I'm running paid ads and I'm not seeing success, the question is, okay, cool, but how much have you spent and how much have you done to determine that it's actually not successful? Maybe it's you just in the phase where running ads is not successful because it's just early days, or you're just spending too little, or it's like the moment you start to do 10 times more, like I think it was Ramosi had said, whatever you think you need to do, whether it's whatever you think how much you need to spend, whatever you think how much time is going to take, whatever you think how many reps you have to do, whether it's email or call, times it by 10, and then most likely you're going to get close to seeing some form of result. I think he said times it by 10 or times it by 100 or whatever. And the point he's making is just do more. So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. A lot of people think they got to change the strategy, and actually they just got to do more and better, more and better. And then once you've done like more than you can possibly ever imagine doing, do a little bit more, and then maybe you can change strategy. Anyway,
I agree.
I think that's the wrap for today, Jandre. Let's call it and bid farewell to everyone. We will see you again next Friday, but next Thursday, but starting at 9 instead of 10. So have a lekker week, everyone.
Yeah. So the important note, next week at 9. Unfortunately, I've got a meeting that I just can't get out of. I don't want to get out of it, to be frank. I'm going to be very honest, because I struggled to find this meeting, and they said Thursday at 11, and I'm like, I'll be there. So if you guys would accommodate us 9 o'clock, that'll be great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. See you on the other side.